Alright, that's the that's the highlight of my talk. So it's all downhill from here. Thank you. That's the highlight of my video. Anyway, so this is a short clip from Ang Huling El Bimbo, jukebox musical that was staged at Resorts World Manila. For those of you who don't know, a jukebox musical is a musical play that features pre-existing songs. In this case, songs by the Eraserheads. And for those of you who don't know, the story and the script, I wrote it. My name is Dingdong, Novenario, and welcome to my TEDx. Alright, I named my talk, How Pisay Prepared Me for a Life in Theater, because first one, I came from Pisay. And second one, a lot of the things I learned in Pisay, I was able to apply in my theater life. In my theater life, I mean as a playwright. So aside from Ang Huling El Bimbo, I also did up to now 6 one-act plays for the Virgin Lab Fest at the Cultural Center of the Philippines. So it's a festival of one-act plays from emerging playwrights. So all you have to do is submit your one-act play, the judges read it, and then if you're one of the best 12 from the lot, then you get to have your play produced. And for us playwrights, that's one of the best things that can happen, to see your play come alive on stage. So, aside from being a playwright, I'm also an IT consultant. So I'm not one of those Pisay graduates who have shunned the Pisay experience. I actually enjoyed my life here in Pisay, and I'm sort of a geek. And yeah, I really enjoyed my life here in Pisay. Graduated 19 something, and then electronics and communications engineering in UP Diliman, and since then have worked and is currently working as IT consultant in a multinational company. So you can consider I have a dual nature. I have an artistic side, I have a technical side, but that will be putting myself in a box. So I am also a group fitness instructor. Doesn't look like it, but I've been that way for 9 years already. And I've also tried acting. So what defining me would be, sometimes you might call me a multi-hyphenate, a jack of all trades, polymath, or a renaissance man. Whichever field you are in, whether it's science, technology, the arts, a lot of the things that I learned in Pisay are things that I can still use, even in whatever field you choose. Alright, so some of the lessons I learned here. First, you're not the best, and that's fine. I went into Pisay, I was not even valedictorian in my elementary school in far off, the Slinas. But I was best in math. But when I went here, you're also with other people who are best in their respective schools. So you try to be the best in your batch, but then things don't work out that way. You try to be the best in one subject, maybe science, maybe math, IBS. It doesn't quite work that way. And we think it's okay as long as I have good grades. And sometimes even that doesn't work that way. So, same thing with theater. You want to be the best playwright, there's no such thing. Sometimes there are playwrights who are really good in doing nationalistic plays, or those who are really good in doing jukebox musicals. You try to be one of those, but you find that it really doesn't work that way. So you try at least to get good reviews, or to have your plays staged wonderfully. And sometimes it also doesn't work that way. Sometimes you get bad reviews, and that's fine. So you just pick up the pieces, you learn from whatever feedback you get, and then move on from there. Second, collaboration is key. So, one little confession, how I wrote Ang Huling El Bimbo the first time around is way, way different from how it happened or how it was staged in 2018. And if some of you also watched the 2019 version, it's also quite different. So it's a collaboration of different elements, different people, provide their feedback. Directors, actors, even costume designers, stage designers, all providing feedback. So something similar to what we did, for example, in research here in Visay. If, for example, you were tasked to do the introduction to your paper, you do the best introduction that you can do, but still others will provide feedback regarding that. So that's fine. It's still your introduction, but you bring in what other people can provide or can help with. Okay? And then continue to learn and sometimes unlearn. So there are some concepts that you learned back in grade school. When you come into Visay, it's presented in a different manner. Or sometimes it's actually not completely true. So sometimes you have to continue learning, reading up, and just taking in whatever there is about a particular topic. Sometimes when I came in, Pluto was a planet, and then later on it was not anymore. And now I think it's back to being a planet. So sometimes you have to unlearn some concepts, some habits, and that's the same thing with theater. Some of the approaches or the ways that you wrote a play from before sometimes do not work anymore. Same thing with comedy, for example. Some of the things that were funny back in the 80s and the 90s, if you do them today, people will be up in arms against you, all the feminists, all the woke people. So there are some things that sometimes you have to unlearn so that you come up with something that people can accept. And then ask questions, experiment. So when I was a student here in Visay, I would always ask questions, sometimes even to the point of challenging our teachers, and I think that's fine. They handled me pretty well. Same thing with theater. So always ask questions. Some of the most interesting premises that I used for some of my plays came from questions that just popped up out of my head. For example, what if there were gays in Nakatipunan? So that became one of my plays later on. Or what if during the time of Hugots and soulmates, what if two soulmates were reincarnated as father and daughter? So those kinds of weird stuff. And experiment with what you thought of. What if that happens, how would it work? So I think that also helped me come up with some really interesting stuff. Next lesson, be present and listen. So many things happening in the world today. Sometimes it's just good enough to see or to listen to the different views, different points of view, and see how it will come into a really good topic for your play. Take strolls around the campus with or without friends. So people say life is made up of conversations. In the morning when you wake up, you think you have a conversation with yourself, whether you're going to get up already or you text someone, or you get down, have breakfast, it's a conversation with your family, your parents, or if you go to the cafeteria, it's a conversation with other dorm mates. So each encounter, each relationship, or each conversation is a story to tell. So taking a stroll around the campus with friends, sometimes you get into deeper conversations with these different people. Or sometimes if you're alone, you get into a deeper conversation with yourself. You think of your what ifs, you think of some really weird concepts, and sometimes they're really nice and original. But honor thy dawn curfew. So if you're taking a stroll, make sure you still come in time for the dawn curfew, otherwise they lock you up. Same thing in theater or in writing in particular. In writing for theater, you're strict. Make sure you turn it in when you committed to turn it in, because other aspects of the play, of the theater, of the staging are dependent on that more. And also, if you don't have the first draft, There's nothing for other people to comment on. The director, there's nothing for them to work with. There's nothing for the actors to read. So yeah, same thing with almost everything else in life. So try to do it by the time that you commit it. And know who to trust with the right answers. So if you have an assignment and you don't know how to do it, at least you go to the people who you know how to do it. Same thing with writing for theater. I'm part of this organization. We call it the Writer's Block. It's a group of writers, including Novenario, some very experienced writers and some new ones, like me back then. And yeah, we come together every other Sunday, we read each other's plays, and we provide comments on those plays. I know these people, I trust these people. They're all really into making sure that we develop the ideas in the play. So same thing, find the people you trust, find people to trust to tell you whether something is good or not. Alright? Next up, there's more than one solution to a problem. Sometimes you can do it in 5 steps, sometimes you can do it in 7, sometimes it can be done in 5, but you do it in 10. So you go around, but it's still the same ending, sometimes it's the same correct answer. So there are very many ways to write a particular story. So for example, a boy and girl meet and live happily ever after. There are so many variations to that scenario. Cramming works, but you have to admit it's not your best work. So writing, they say, is in revising. Once you write your first draft, you look at it again, you look at it, you read it, you have others read it, and most of what happens, or most of the best parts, are those that you may have missed the first time around. And yeah, so you still meet the deadline, but it's better if you do little deadlines for yourself, so that you make sure that you get to finish the first draft in time to have yourself read it on your own. And finally, everyone has a story to tell. So when I went to Visayas the first time that I came out from my little secluded home in Las Piñas, and suddenly I'm here with so many people from different walks of life, people from the dorm, people who, I don't know if you still call them experts, but they're people who, whatever you call them now. But they're from different walks of life, they have different stories to tell. And that same thing happens, or the same thing goes through with your characters in your story or in your play. Each of them has something or some place where they're coming from and some place where they're going to. So each of these small characters, well, there are no small parts, as we say together, but each of these characters has a small story to tell, a small infinitesimal story to tell that will make up this big whole universe that you create in your play. And that's it. So those are just some of the things that I learned from Visay. I put into writing plays for theater. And I leave you with this quote. Buksan ang puso at isipan, paliparin ang kamalayan. Thank you, everyone.